karpas, when we dip the vegetable in the salt water, and yachatz, when we break the middle matzah and hide the afikomen, we come to magid, which serves as the basis for the majority of the text of the Haggadah. Magid opens with the immortal paragraph Lachma Anya, stating, "This is the poor man's bread, which our ancestors ate in the land of Mitzrayim. Anyone who is hungry, let them come and eat. Anyone who needs, let them come and partake of the Korban Pesach." It concludes with the statement, Hashta Hacha, now we are here, L'shana haba ba'ara Yisrael. Next year, may we be in the land of Israel. Hacha Avdei, now we are slaves. L'shana haba b'nei chorin. Next year, may we be free. Our familiarity with these statements might cause us to treat them in a cursory and a casual manner. However, upon reflection, it becomes clear that this opening paragraph is not as straightforward as it seems, and we can ask a number of questions to try and find out what it means and why we say it at this point in the Seder. First, we see that it begins by stating that matzah is Lachma Anya, the bread of the poor man, the bread of destitution, the bread of oppression. The question that we can ask is, why is the Haggadah telling us this information before we've even asked the question? It's well known that the format of the Seder is predicated on the fact that we, and the children in particular, are prompted to ask about all the seemingly strange features and practices of the night, including, of course, the Manish Tana, which itself is going to immediately follow the reciting of Lachma Anya and ask the specific question, why do we eat matzah? It seems therefore to make no sense that we're answering the question before we even give the children the opportunity to ask. Furthermore, we know that matzah is what Bnei Israel ate when they left Mitzrayim. It seems that this paragraph of Lachma Anya is the sole source to teach us that matzah was in fact the food that they ate during their slavery as well. But again, why tell us that now? Why tell us that here? Following the opening line about the matzah, we then proclaim, Kol dichvin yese v'yechol. Let the hungry come and eat. Kol ditzrich yese v'yifsach. Whoever needs, come and partake of the Korban Pesach. Are these statements and questions not a little late? Not a little redundant? We've already started the meal. We've already made kiddush. We've drunk the first cup of wine. We've had the karpas. We've broken the matzah. And finally, we're all sitting around the table already. Who is going to hear this bold and noble invitation? Furthermore, we know from the Haggadah and the laws of the Korban Pesach that you can't just join a group at the last minute. You need to join together in order to eat the Korban Pesach with them. You need to join together even before the Shechita takes place. What is the purpose of saying it now? Anyone who needs, come and partake of our Korban Pesach. Finally, we proclaim that this year we are here. L'shana haba ba'ara Yisrael. Next year may we be in Eretz Yisrael. This is a concept which, of course, we associate with the end of Leil HaSeder. We're all familiar with how we conclude with the joyous song, L'shana haba b'Yerushalayim. Why are we saying it now? Why are we saying it at the beginning of the Seder as well? We can also point out that each of these statements is seemingly unrelated to the next. Why are they put together? What is the connection between each of these three proclamations? We'll try to answer all of these questions with a simple yet powerful mahalach, an idea that explains the meaning and the inclusion of all of these statements. The first thing is that we have to note that this paragraph, the whole of Lachma Anya, is written in Aramaic as opposed to Hebrew. And we know that it was inserted into the text of the Haggadah and the order of the Seder after the Churban Beit HaMikdash, the destruction of the Beit HaMikdash, the temple. This paragraph was added at a later date as an opening introduction to the Maggid during the Babylonian exile. The question remains, however, why? Why did the rabbis feel it necessary to insert this now? The Rambam, as well as other Rishonim, make it clear that we all have an obligation to view ourselves as if we came out of Mitzrayim right now at the Leil HaSeder. Somehow we have to relive Yetziat Mitzrayim. Somehow we have to achieve a feeling of freedom. Now, while there's much written about how we can achieve this lofty goal, it still remains a mighty feat. How can we experience a true feeling of chayrus, of freedom, when we ourselves are in galut? We're in galus, we're in exile. This is a huge obstacle in the way of our ability to fulfill an important halacha. While it might well be easier now than ever before in the galus, especially for those privileged to live in Eretz Yisrael, what about our ancestors throughout history who lived throughout times of persecution and abject poverty? They had the very same obligation to feel freedom at the Seder as we do today. How can one hope to feel free while worrying if theirs will be the next shtetl to be pogromed? Or you don't know where your next meal is going to come from? It was with these types of thoughts and questions in mind that the rabbis chose to insert this powerful and meaningful paragraph, the paragraph of Lachma, Anya. These statements were constructed to help us focus on the task at hand, to give us chizuk despite the difficulty in feeling free, and to allow us to give us the tools to fulfill the mitzvah just before we begin the thrust of Maggid and the Manishtana. The paragraph of Lachma Anya enables us to get into the right frame of mind to feel Ke'ilu hu yatsa mimitzrayim, that we too came out of Egypt. And this is how it's done. Firstly, Lachma Anya di achlu avatana ba'ara di Mitzrayim. This is the poor man's bread that we ate in Egypt. This statement will immediately elicit a response, which itself is a question. Anyone paying attention to the Baal Haggadah will say, no, it's not. The matzah was what we ate when we left Mitzrayim, not the food that we ate in Mitzrayim. And the answer, of course, that we have to give is that both are correct. We did eat it when we left, but we also ate it in Mitzrayim when we were slaves. It was all we could eat at the time. But that same matzah became the symbol of our freedom. The message is that through galus, through the galut, will come the geula, the redemption. The matzah that we are eating is what they ate in Mitzrayim, and it became the symbol of their chayrus. The things which seem the most bitter now will eventually become the most sweet. The message is that we, like Bnei Israel then, will come out of our present situation, and we will come to the geula shlema. Then we say, Kol dichvin yesei v'yechol, kol ditzrich yesei v'yifsach. Whoever is hungry, come and eat. This is not an invitation to others, to the people who aren't already at our table. But we're saying to the people sitting with us now, to those in front of us, we're saying, whatever you're lacking, if you're hungry, if you're wanting physically in some way, if you are in need and suffering, then join with us together now. Join with us in Achdus. Join with us together at the Leil HaSeder, and we will come through together, just like Bnei Israel. This is clearly not actually about the Korban Pesach. As we noted, it was added after the Churban, after the destruction of the Beit HaMikdash, when we no longer have the opportunity to bring the sacrifice. However, it's about the concept of the Korban Pesach. In Mitzrayim, we were at the lowest level of tumah, the lowest level of spiritual impurity. But nonetheless, Hashem reached out to us and gave us this great mitzvah of the Korban Pesach to raise us up spiritually, and he pulled us out of our despair and servitude. The message for us is clear, however dark a person's situation may be right now. Just like it looked then in Mitzrayim, when there was no hope for the Jews in Egypt, Hashem can and will pull us out too. He can raise us up in the very same way. Finally, we proclaim, Hashtahacha, now we are here, L'shana haba ba'arad Yisrael. Next year may we be in Israel. Hashta avdei, now we are slaves, L'shana haba b'nei chorin. Next year may we be free. The message to us is that just like the events of Yetziat Mitzrayim, in the blink of an eye, the whole situation can be turned on its head. The whole situation can change. Just as fast as we came out of Mitzrayim, so too, this coming year, everything can be different. We can truly be free and in Eretz Yisrael together. With these messages of chizuk and reassurance, we are all now ready to embark on the night's journey and fulfill our obligation to relive the cherus from Mitzrayim, the freedom from Egypt, and fulfill the dictate b'chol dovador chayav adam lirot et atzmo ke'ilu hu yatsa mimitzrayim. May we all be blessed to have a meaningful and inspirational Pesach and take much chizuk from these immortal statements as we begin the Haggadah.